What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Tarun's Thoughts. My name's Tarun Shetty. These are my thoughts. Hope you guys are doing well. I thought I'd go live today. Might as well just change it up. Just for today, no edits. Let's go completely raw. I mean, even when I make these videos, I rarely edit it. Sometimes there are cuts, but that's another story. It's a beautiful Saturday right now in LA. It's gloomy. I went hiking on Runyon Canyon this morning, which was, I've talked about this before. It's so peaceful going to Runyon, and I'm so sleep deprived most of the day because I wake up at like 5:15 and I go. But last night, Tarun Shetty made his return to the stand-up comedy scene in Los Angeles. I went to an open mic here in LA. That's right, guys. Started my career open mics, ending my career open mics. What happened was my buddy, first of all, I'm really not scheduled anywhere to do stand-up. I mean, I have a show tonight at this hostel. I'm going to host the show, but it's more just like this random show for like immigrants in Santa Monica. But I've purposely gone out of my way not to schedule shows. And so last night, my friend Elliot Chang, who really funny guy, check him out on social media. He's had, I think, 2 specials on Comedy Central. And stage time is so scarce in Los Angeles. It's so hard to get on stage. I mean, I've talked about this, going to the Comedy Store. I'd like hang out there for years before they started giving me development spots. Flappers, I got into because my friend Darren, who put in a word for me, and they throw me spots like once a week, once every 2 weeks. And now that I'm out of the loop completely, I've been in Florida. It's like, well, who do I call now? So Elliot was like, "Hey, dude, you want to go to an open mic and just try out some jokes?" And of course, I try to write every day. And I was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna go. I'm good, man. I'm just gonna sit here and read my read my books." So that was at like 5. Then he texted me again, and he was like, "Hey, dude, there's a show at 8:00. Do you want to go to it?" And I was like, screw it. Why not? I haven't done open mic in LA in years. Let's just go. So we go to this open mic on Sunset Boulevard. Right? I go to Elliot's house and we walk to this mic. And basically, when I was doing comedy, you would just, there are different ways to get on stage. I would pass out flyers in New York City in Times Square, or I was a door guy at a comedy club, and then they would give me the last spot of the night. Now, like the open mic stuff, it's changed so much. Now you basically pay to get on stage. You get $5 and they slot you, and you perform for like a room full of other comedians who are paid $5. And these people who run these rooms, some of them are comedians, like they're taking home like a couple $100 a night because they're making $50 a show. It's like 10 comics, $5 a piece, $50. So it's like a business now. And that's another reason why I didn't want to do it, because I don't like the fact that comics are charging other comics to perform. It's like, living off the blood of your brethren. Like, screw that. But I was like, you know what, whatever. I've paid to get on stage before. I'll just pay. So we go to this mic. I pay $5, and it's all like these really young comedians, pretty much. It's like me, Elliot, who's like around my age, and he's like young, like 20-something-year-old comics. And it's in like this back room. You got to like, go through a gate and go up the stairs, and there's a room with like a microphone. It's as shitty as you probably think it is, right? And there's like no other audience aside from comedians. And, nobody knows who the hell I am, but I'm just sitting there. In fact, there's a guy wearing a Brody Stevens t-shirt, this young comedian. And my first thought, Brody Stevens was a comedian. My first thought was like, oh, this guy must know Brody. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. You know what? Brody, it's a fan of Brody. Because I used to go to Brody's open mic, when he was in New York City. Like when he was coming up, I was coming up in New York. And I was like, man, that's how old I am. Like literally, like the guy was wearing like merchandise from a dead comedian. And I was like thinking, my first glance was, oh, he must know Brody. He must have done the open mic. And I was like, no, this kid's like 21 years old. There's no way you would know him. So we're sitting there, and the difference between a Florida open mic, which, that's how I like to do jokes, is that there are real people at these Florida open mics. Like it's full sometimes with like just real pedestrians. This LA open mic, like all comedians, right? And sometimes though, comedians are giving, right? This group, man, like it was like folded arms, just sitting there like, interesting. People were like bombing left and right, and I hated it because I'd like fake laugh, and I never laugh, but I'd like fake laugh, like ah ha ha, yay, hooray, good job, dude, right? And so I'm just sitting there waiting to go up. I'm like, whatever, and I do fine actually because I think clearly I don't give a shit about being there, and I just have material, so I do fine. But I'm just thinking while I'm sitting there, my God, how hard is it to be a comic in 2022 right now? There were so many of these young comedians. It reminded me of this quote though, because like I saw Elliot and I performed, and then all these young comics, and a few of them mentioned on stage, "Oh, this is my first year of comedy. I just started in April." That's not even a year. It's a few months, right? And Emo Phillips, who's this comedian, has this quote like, "You'll never go to a concert and see." The Boston Pops Orchestra, followed by a high school jazz band. But at a comedy show, you'll see like a guy doing comedy 20 years, followed by somebody doing comedy 2 weeks. Like that's how messed up this business is. So I was just like, okay, you know what? We'll do it. And it was fun. It was a good warm up for tonight. But man, I left there thinking if I stay in LA, my career is dead. My stand-up career. Because dude, there's no way I can like sustain going to these open mics again. And then, I gotta, re-hang out of these comedy clubs, getting in. I was like, Jesus Christ, I guess my career's over if I stay here. But then I was also thinking, I was talking about Florida, how it's really easy. I've been there long enough where it's complacent, where like I get stage time and I can call in and know people there to get up. I'm like the older guy in Florida though, but I think I'm respected wherever I go now. Like young comics come up to me and they're like, "Hey, Tarun, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming by. Do you want to do my show?" They ask me to do their shows. But there's this level of complacency in Florida, and I was like, man, if I really, want to do this, like Hollywood, there's a reason why people come here because you're just surrounded by people, who are hungry. Like, last week I was hanging out with, Eric Griffin, Darren, and Craig Robinson was there. Like these guys are players in the business versus guys doing comedy, 3 months in Florida, right? You got to be around people who are hungrier, people who are pushing you. And I was like, man, I got to figure out, maybe I don't have to figure out anything. I mean, it brings me a lot of anxiety, honestly, when I think about all the stuff I have to do and have to, navigate through this treacherous LA waters. But, I'm not special. Nobody's special. Like everybody has to go through the same channels if you want to take a shot in Hollywood. Unfortunately, you do start to get a little bit jaded after a while. And, I'll just figure out something. So that was my experience last night. Tonight's going to be a new night. It's a book show. So I think it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to just getting on stage. And you know what the good thing about just going out and doing comedy is you meet different people. Like I'm always meeting different people. Like last night there was this young girl who performed, and I think she was like 3 months into comedy. And I was like, you know what? There's another comedian named Wendy Liebman, who's like this old school, really good comic, and she had jokes just like Wendy Liebman. And I was like, your jokes are really good. I was like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, you're actually a good joke writer. And I was like excited to see where she's going to end up, 3 months, 5 years, 10 years from now. Like, who knows? Like, the world is her oyster, or maybe it's her, I don't know, hell. We'll see what happens. Like, there's no guarantees in comedy. but it was a good foray back into the LA comedy scene. And I guess the journey continues tonight. Anyways, this is my plan today. My buddy got me this poster. Where's this poster? Okay. So you guys know how like I like Adam Sandler? Like he was like a big idol for me, like when I was growing up in New Hampshire, because he's from New Hampshire, and I actually got to meet Adam Sandler twice. So my buddy got me this movie, Billy Madison. This is a scene where like Adam Sandler's in a tub, and he's like, "Shampoo is better." Anyways, so he got me this painting, and I'm gonna get it framed today. So that's my agenda. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Take care. And okay, this is awkward.